Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing well. So today we are going to solve out the question in the statistics basically. So we are going to solve out the question for this independent groups, right? So we'll be seeing and going throughout this question. What are the formulas I will be using? We have already discussed all of those things into the previous video, right? So I would just not repeat that once again here. I would directly put on the formulas onto the particular questions and get out the answers for that. Right, so let's get started here. Before that, just let me quickly choose out a color so that we can proceed on with the stuff and doing of all the stuffs, okay? Right here. So this is my question, that is, the average amount of time boys and girls ages 7 through 11 spend playing sports each day is believed to be the same. An experiment is done, data is collected, resulting in the table below. Both populations have a normal distribution. So this is basically the whole idea. We are having here the sample size for the girls. For the boys, we are having the average number of hours playing sports per day, and the sample standard deviation for both of them. All of these things we are actually having out here, right? Now, okay, what's my question that I need to find out the answer for? So my question that I need to find the answer for is there a difference in the mean amount of time boys and girls ages 7 through 11 play sports each day just at the 5% level of significance, right? So we are, first of all, we need to find out the difference, that is there any, and after that we need to test it at the 5% level of significance, right? So let's get started and solve out this particular question. So I would just write here solution. Let's write out here and start up. Fine. We are already knowing the population standard deviation. So I would just write that the population. I would just put on that particular thing because that is the thing which we already know. So I would just write the population is standard. The population is standard, and I would just put on here as deviation. The population standard deviation is okay, so population standard deviation is not known to us. Only sample standard deviation is known. The population standard deviation is not known. Okay, the sample standard deviation we know, but the population standard deviation we do not know. And yeah, these both are the different things, right? We are already understood and discussed about a lot of all these things in the previous video. Fine. Okay, now let's take a page variable. Let's take a variable that is g. Okay, so I will just write that let g be the subscript for girls, and be the subscript for boys. Okay, I'm just taking two different variables for the girls and even for the boys, and be the subscript for, and I would just write here for boys. Okay, I'm just taking both of the respective things, right, that I had just put on here. After that, I would just put on then. Okay, then I will put out a comma and I would just write here then mu g. Okay, then mu g is the population mean. It is the population mean for girls and mu b. I would just write here mu b is the population mean for the boys. Is the population mean for let me come down for, and I would just put on here as boys. Okay, right. So these are the things which we are listed above. So population standard deviation is not known. So in that case, let G be the subscript for the girls and B be the subscript for the boys. Then mu G is the population mean for girls and mu B is the population mean for boys. Okay. After this, I would just put on here that this is a set of two independent, I would just write independent. Okay, this is a set of two independent groups. Okay, the set of two independent groups, and comma, we have even two population means. So I will just write two population and put on here as means. Okay, right, that all the things are actually done out here. What I would just come down, I would just come out and go the things for the random variable. I just put out here as random, and here we have variable. Fine. So what we are gonna do here is that we will be writing out that what's the difference between the sample mean in the amount of girls and the amount of boys. I would just do that. So I would simply write x bar g minus x bar of b. Okay, this is basically what? This is the difference in sample mean amount of time girls and boys play sports each day. Play sports each day. Okay, so this is the idea random variable xg and like x bar g minus x bar b. That is the difference in the sample mean amount of time girls and boys play sports each day. Okay, that is absolutely fine. Now what I would just do here is that I would be coming down once again and right. Now let's give it some denotions and let's put out some values here. Okay, so in that case I'll be writing here h naught. Okay, h naught is basically what is that? That is mu g, and that will be equal to mu b. That is my mean for the girls and mean for the boys. And what I would just do, I would just write mean for girls minus mean for boys, that is equal to 0. Fine. Right here, now what I would just even do, I would just put one more condition. Let's say that is HA, and that would be mu of G is not equal to mu of B. First was my condition that they both are equal, and second is my that they both are not equal. So mu G minus mu B will not be equal to 0. Find my two conditions that I have applied out. Okay. Now, let me just write out here. Fine. So I would just now put on the things. Right. So the words that are written, which is the same. The words that are written that is the same tell you h naught has an this equal to sign. Okay, the words the same tell you h naught has an equal, right? So since there are no other words, since there are no other words since there are no other words to I would just put on here indicate. Since there are no other words to indicate HA, okay, that is my HA, then in that case assume that it is different. Fine. Okay, see, the words the same tell you h naught has an equal to sign, right? Then there are no other words to indicate HA. Then assume that basically it is different, right? So here what we are doing here, we are taking a two-tailed test. Okay, I would just write that here. It is a two-tailed test which we are actually trying to do out here, right? Now, let's do out the distribution for this particular thing. So let me just come down here, and I would just write distribution for the test. I would just write here distribution for the test. Put out a full stop, and I would just write here use T of DF. Let me remove this out. Use, and I would just write here use T of, and I will just put on here as DF. Okay, use T of DF where I would just put on where DF is calculated using the DF formula which we already have for the degrees of freedom. Yes, right, remember we have already seen that yesterday. Formula for independent groups. Okay, for independent groups. Okay, now you are already known with the formula that what's the formula for calculating out this degrees of freedom. So I would just not let you know whole procedure, whole things in hand. Okay, you already know the formula, you already know that what are the symbols that belong to what. So basically put out that formula. Fine. So I would just simply write the final answer for DF. So that is approximately equal to 18.8. Just find that on your own. Okay, I'm just not gonna put out the things again and again totally for you. Okay. Okay. So, and even what you could do, you can just find out the p value as well. p-value. And how will that be found? So p-value can be found, p-value can be found using students t distribution, using students t distribution, and if it is not getting that like the how to put out the formula and all those things, so you can just ask all the things to me in the chat box, right? So p-value can be found using students t distribution, and that would be approximately equal to, that you also need to find out on your own. So the value for that would be approximately equal to 0.005 or something like that. Okay, fine, just put out that find out all of those things. Now what we can just do out here is that we can actually make out a graph for this particular thing. Let's see how to make out the graph. Let me put out this, and let me just put out this particular thing like this right here, and fine. After this I would just put out and make out the graph for this thing. Okay, 1 second. So it is a little bit of graph like this, and here we go. Fine, absolutely okay. And here I'll just put out the things like this. After this I have here two portions which are actually colored out, and I would just write the things onto that. Now what are these? Actually these are my p-values, the half of this p-value and half. So I would just write out here half of p-value. So what was my p-value which was founded above? So that was around 0.055, it was around 4. Okay, it was around this time. So when I choose 1 by 2 here, so it would be around for me 0.00, and it would be 28 again here as well. This is the half of my p-value, so that would again be 0.002, same value. Okay, let me now just come down here and plot the other things for this project. Okay, just 1 second. Yes, now here what do I have? I have the values in middle, it is 0, here it is minus 1.2, and here it's basically plus 1.2. After this, what else we have here to put on? Okay, we have here x of g bar minus x of b bar like this. Okay, we have this as well. Okay, fine. So these are the things which we are actually having right here. So and this portion is actually shaded, so I would just put out the some things like this, right? Fine, this is the graph which would actually come. Now what are the things that we can just conclude from here? So we were already given SG, right? We were already given this particular thing, and let me just go above and show you where we are getting. So right, so we are already given this value which is under root of 0.75, right? Under root of 0.75. So I would just write SG is equal to under root of 0.75. So what is the SB? SB is as well given as when, that we had already seen. So we could just write that x bar g minus x bar b. So that is equal to 2 minus 3.2, and that would be actually equal to minus 1.2. So basically what is this minus 1.2? Hope you have just seen out the graph. I just plotted out two things, minus 1.2 and plus 1.2 right here. So basically it is the same thing only. So I would just write here half the p-value is basically below 1.2, below minus 1.2, and basically half is above 1.2. Okay, now since basically we can just now make out a decision here. So I would just write out make a decision. We can finally make out a decision here that since alpha is greater than p-value, that we are already figured out here, right? That alpha is actually greater than p-value. What is my alpha? Alpha is my 1.2, which I have actually got out here. So this is greater than p-value. So what we'll be doing? We'll be rejecting. So we'll be rejecting the h naught. This means, so that, okay. So the statement which I have written above, this means you reject mu g, which is equal to mu b. The means are different. I would just write here that now the means are different. The means are different, right? So hope you just got out this question, that how I have proceeded on with this question. Now this question is even having the second part, which I just need to find out, test at the 5% level of significance. So I would just give you some time to figure out this particular question on your own, and we'll be discussing at the answer of this particular question in the next video, right? So hope you just got the idea that how you would be able to solve out the questions like this. Now this 2 and this 3.2, hope you just remember the idea that here the 2 and 3.2 which I had used out this xt minus xp. It is from that particular table only which I am having here, right? This 2 and this 3.2, right?